It's bright again. 35, chapter 25. Then shall the realm of heaven be compared to the 10 maidens who took their lamps and went out to meet the bridegroom and the bride. 5 of them were stupid, 5 were sensible. For although the stupid took their lamps, they took no oil with them, whereas the sensible took oil in their vessels as well as their lamps. As the bridegroom was long of coming, they all grew drowsy and went to sleep. But at midnight the cry arose, Here is the bridegroom, come out to meet him. Then all the maidens rose and trimmed their lamps. The stupid said to the sensible, Give us some of your oil, for our lamps are going out. But the sensible replied, No, there may not be enough for us and for you. Better go to the dealers and buy for yourselves. Now while they were away buying oil, the bridegroom arrived. Those maidens who were ready accompanied him to the marriage banquet, and the door was shut. Afterwards, the rest of the maidens came and said, O sir, open the door for us. But he replied, I tell you frankly, I do not know you. Keep on the watch then, for you know neither the day nor the hour. For the case is that of a man going abroad who summoned his servants and handed over his property to them. To one he gave 1,200 pounds, to the other 500, and to another 250. Each got according to his capacity. Then the man went abroad. The servant who had got the 1,200 pounds went at once and traded with them, making another 1,200. Similarly, the servant who had gotten 500 pounds made another 500. But the servant who had got the 250 pounds went off and dug a hole in the ground and hid his master's money. Long afterwards, the master of those servants came back and settled accounts with them. Then the servant who had got the 1,200 pounds came forward, bringing 1,200 more. He said, You handed me 1,200 pounds, sir. Here I have gained another 1,200. His master said to him, Capital, you excellent and trusty servant. You have been trusty in charge of a small sum. I will put you in charge of a large sum. Come and share your master's feast. And the servant with the 500 pounds came forward. He said, You handed me 500 pounds, sir. Here I have gained another 500. His master said to him, Capital, you excellent and trusty servant. You have been trusty in charge of a small sum. I will put you in charge of a large sum. Come and share your master's feast. And the servant who had got the 250 pounds came forward. He said, I know you were a hard man, sir, reaping where you never sowed and gathering where you never winnowed. So I was afraid. I went and hid your 250 pounds in the earth. There's your money. His master said to him in a reply, You rascal, you idle servant, you knew, did you, that I reap where I never sowed and gather where I never winnowed? Well, then, you should have handed my money to the bankers, and I would have gotten my capital with interest when I came back. Take, therefore, the 250 pounds away from him, give it to the servant who had the 1,200. For to everyone who has shall more be given and richly given, but from him who has nothing, even what he has shall be taken. Throw the good-for-nothing servant into the darkness outside. There men will wail and gnash their teeth. When the Son of Man comes in his glory, and all the angels with him, then he will sit on the throne of his glory, and all nations will be gathered in front of him. He will separate them one from another, as a shepherd separates the sheep from the goats, setting the sheep on his right hand and the goats on his left. Then shall the king say to those on his right, Come, you whom my Father has blessed, come into your inheritance in the realm prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was hungry, and you fed me. I was thirsty, and you gave me drink. I was a stranger, and you entertained me. I was unclothed, and you clothed me. I was ill, and you looked after me. I was in prison, and you visited me. Then the just will answer, Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and gave you drink? When did we see you a stranger and entertain you, and unclothed and clothed you? When did we see you ill or in prison and visit you? The king will answer them, I tell you truly, in so far as you did it to one of these my brothers, even to the least of them, you did it to me. Then he will say to those on the left, Begone from me, accursed ones, to the eternal fire, which has been prepared for the devil and his angels. For I was hungry, but you never fed me. I was thirsty, but you never gave me drink. I was a stranger, but you never entertained me. I was unclothed, but you never clothed me. I was ill and in prison, but you never looked after me. Then they will answer too, Lord, when did we ever see you hungry or thirsty or a stranger or unclothed or ill or in prison, and did not minister to you? Then he will answer them, I tell you truly, in so far as you did not do it to one of these, even the least of them, you did not do it to me. So they shall depart to eternal punishment, and the just to eternal life. 26. When Jesus finished saying all this, he said to his disciples, You know that the Passover is to be held 2 days after this, when the Son of Man will be delivered up to the crucified. Oh, nope, screwed that up. When the Son of Man will be delivered up to be crucified. Then the high priests and the elders of the people met in the palace of the high priest, who was called Caiaphas, and took counsel together to get hold of Jesus by craft and have him put to death. Only, they said, it must not be during the festival in case of a riot among the people. Now when Jesus was at Bethany in the house of Simon the leper, a woman came up to him with an alabaster flask of expensive perfume, which she poured over his head as he lay at the table. When the disciples saw this, they were angry. What is the use of this waste? They said. The perfume might have been sold for a good sum, and the poor might have got that. But Jesus was aware of what they said, and he replied, Why are you annoying the woman? It is a beautiful thing she has done to me. The poor you always have beside you, but you will not always have me. In pouring this perfume on my body, she has acted in view of my burial. I tell you truly, wherever this gospel is preached through all the world, men will speak of what she has done in memory of her. And one of the 12, called Judas Iscariot, went and said to the high priest, What will you give me for betraying him to you? They weighed out for him 30 silver pieces. From that moment, he sought a good opportunity to betray him. On the first day of unleavened bread, the disciples of Jesus came up and said to him, Where do you want us to prepare for you to eat the Passover? He said, Go into the city to the so-and-so. Tell him that the teacher says, My time is near. I will celebrate the Passover at your house with my disciples. So the disciples did as Jesus had told them and prepared the Passover. When evening came, he lay at the table with the disciples. And as they were eating, he said, One of you is going to betray me. They were greatly distressed at this, and each of them said to him, Lord, surely it is not me. He answered, One who has dipped his hand into the same dish as myself is going to betray me. The Son of Man goes to the road that the Scripture has described for him, but woe to the man by whom the Son of Man is betrayed. Better it were for that man had he never been born. Then Judas, his betrayer, said, Surely it is not me, Rabbi. He said to him, Is it not? As they were eating, he took a loaf, and after the blessing he broke it. Then he gave it to the disciples, saying, Take and eat this, it means my body. He also took a cup, and after thanking God, he gave it to them, saying, Drink of it, all of you, this it means my blood, the new covenant blood shed for many to win the remission of their sins. I tell you, after this I will never drink the produce of the vine till the day I drink it new with you in the realm of my Father. After the hymn of praise, they went out to the hill of Olives. Jesus said to them, You will all be disconcerted over me tonight, for it is written, I will strike at the shepherd, and the sheep of the flock will be scattered. But after my rising, I will precede you to Galilee. Peter answered, Supposing they are all disconcerted over you, I will never be disconcerted, never. Jesus said to him, I tell you truly, You will disown me 3 times this very night before the cock crows. Peter said to him, Even though I have to die with you, I will never disown you. And all the disciples said the same. And Jesus came with them to a place called Gethsemane, and he told the disciples, Sit here till I go over there and pray. But he took Peter and the 2 sons of Zebediah along with him. And when he began to feel distressed and agitated, he said to them, My heart is sad, sad even to death. Stay here and watch with me. Then he went forward a little and fell on his face, praying, My Father, if it be possible, let this cup pass me. Yet not what I will, but what thou wilt. Then he went to the disciples and found them asleep, and he said to Peter, So the 3 of you could not watch with me for a single hour. Watch and pray, all of you, that you may not slip into temptation. The spirit is eager, but the flesh is weak. Again he went away for the 2nd time, praying, My Father, if this cup cannot pass unless I drink it, thy will be done. When he returned, he found them asleep again, for their eyes were heavy. So he left them and went back for the 3rd time, praying in the same words as before. Then he went to the disciples and said to them, Still asleep, still resting, the hour is near, the Son of Man is betrayed into the hands of sinful men. Come, rise, let us be going. Here is my betrayer close at hand. While he was still speaking up, came Judas, one of the 12, accompanied by a large mob with swords and cudgels, who had come from the high priests and the elders of the people. Now his betrayer had given them a signal. He said, Whoever I kiss, that is the man, seize him. So he went up at once to Jesus. Hail, Rabbi, he said, and kissed him. Jesus said, My man, do your errand. Then they laid hands on Jesus and seized him. One of his companions put out his hand, drew his sword, and struck the servant of the high priest, cutting off his ear. And Jesus said to him, Put your sword back into its place. All who drew the sword shall die by the sword. What? Do you think I cannot appeal to my Father to furnish me at this moment with over 12 legions of angels? Only how could the scriptures be fulfilled then, the scriptures that say this must be so? At that hour Jesus said to the crowds, Have you sallied out to arrest me like a robber with swords and cudgels? Day after day I sat in the temple teaching, and you never seized me. However, this has all happened for the fulfillment of the prophetic scriptures. Then all the disciples left him and fled, but those who had seized Jesus took him away to the house of Caiaphas, the high priest, where the scribes and elders had gathered. Peter followed him at a distance as far as the courtyard of the high priest. When he got inside, he sat down beside the attendants to see the end. Now the high priests and the whole of the Sanhedrin tried to secure false evidence against Jesus in order to have him put to death, but they could not find none, although a number of false witnesses came forward. However, 2 men came forward at last and said, This fellow declared, I can destroy the temple of God and build it in 3 days. So the high priest rose and said to him, Have you no reply to make? What of this evidence against you? Jesus said nothing. Then the high priest addressed him, I adjure you by the living God, tell us if you are the Christ, the Son of God. Jesus said to him, Even so. But I tell you, in the future we will all see the Son of Man seated at the right hand of the power and coming on the clouds of heaven. Then the high priest tore his dress and cried, He has blasphemed. What more evidence do we want? Look, you have heard his blasphemy for yourselves. What is your view? They replied, He is doomed to death. And they spat in his face and buffeted him, and some of them cuffing him and crying, Prophesy to us, you Christ, tell us who struck you. Peter was sitting outside in the courtyard. A maidservant came up and said to him, You were with Jesus the Galilean too. But he denied it before them all. I don't know what you mean, he said. When he went out to the gateway, another maidservant noticed him and said to those who were there, This fellow was with Jesus the Nazarene. Again he denied it. He swore, I don't know the man. After a little, the Bystanders came up and said to Peter, "To be sure you are one of them too. Why, your accent betrays you." At this, he broke out cursing and swearing. I don't know the man. At that moment, a cock crowed. Then Peter remembered what Jesus had said, that before the cock crows, you will disown me 3 times. And he went outside and wept bitterly. That's it. That's all she wrote on that one. That's it for people listening. Oh, Jesus. Very nice, Clive. Very nice. Glad I can see that. That's good. Good. All right, so that's working. That's the end for anyone on Rumble. I don't even know where this is going. So I guess I will stop this stream. And I don't see anything else. That's cool. It kind of works, though. See, this is all me by the seat of my pants. I don't even know if I started this one. I didn't even start it. Oh, yeah, I started this, though.